welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are joined this evening live with Michelle Benitez. Michelle is an Emmy Award winning journalist. She is the evening and late news anchor on Univision 34 here in Atlanta. And Michelle was a panelist in the Georgia Gubernatorial Debate in 2022, and she interviews high-ranking officials from the White House and local agencies. But prior to Michelle anchoring at Wink and Univision WSFL in Fort Myers, she did that for 2 years. She's interviewed elected officials, celebrities, musicians. She covers high-profile crimes, fires, hurricane damage, and sport championships. And we know this because we were to have her on the show a couple of weeks ago, and breaking news happened, and we couldn't get her. We were going to go live. We were happy for you that you were able to cover it. Sad for us that we didn't get an opportunity to speak with you. We are so excited. Michelle hails from, are you from South Florida, or you just lived in South Florida?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for that introduction. That was beautiful. Well, no, I'm not from Florida. I'm actually from Ecuador. That's why I have an accent. But when I moved to the U.S., the first place that I moved to was Florida, and I was living there for like 10 years before moving to Atlanta. So, yeah.
I'm a South Florida baby. That's why I asked.
Yeah, Florida. Yeah, I'm pretty much from Florida. You can say that. You know, I feel Floridian.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you say that you said that you have an accent. That's why you're from Ecuador, but you actually could sound like that and be from Florida as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
The Hispanic accent from Florida, I guess.
Like Miami. Yeah, you could. Except that the Cuban accent in South Florida, they speak a little faster when they're speaking English. So, but thank you for joining us. First, we have to ask, how did you become an Emmy Award-winning journalist?
Yes. Well, it was a long journey. Since I was very little, I knew I wanted to be on camera. I remember I used to live in Chile with my mom for a while, and we used to watch a show. It was a Hispanic show named Sábado Gigante. And I used to play with my mom. I would do interviews with her, you know, pretending that I was part of the show.
Okay.
So since I was very little, I knew that I wanted to be in camera, and I knew I wanted to do things to help the community, because that was like a community show on the weekend. And I knew I wanted to be on TV. And then when I moved to the US, everything started just like happening. You know, when we talk about manifestation, I knew I wanted to do it. I didn't know how, but I keep manifesting that this is how I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna meet somebody that's gonna help me, and the person is gonna help me next, and just like that. So pretty much everything started with just, with a dream when I was younger, and then just finding the right people, and then starting to be a journalist. Then everything just started working out for me.
Wow. Did you have any challenges during that journey? And if you did, what did you do to overcome those obstacles?
I guess, when you're an immigrant and first generation immigrant, I think it's really hard because you don't have somebody to help you, right? I didn't have a successful uncle or a successful aunt, or just parents from here, so I didn't know who would help me out. So I rely on doing internships. So that was my biggest issue, not having a strong network or connections. So the way that I had to overcome that is just by networking, doing internships, and getting people to know who I am since I was very young. And just finding the right people to help you, because if you don't have the opportunity, so you don't have somebody to guide you or a mentor, you can look for those options. Not everybody grows up in a family with a lot of connections. You just need to find them.
Right. Facts. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Lord knows I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth. So you're absolutely right. You do have to network. Yes. And that's how I met you at a networking event.
That's right. Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. Meeting individuals. And I'm so glad about that. We spoke when I talked to you, we talked about community service, and you mentioned your community work. Can you give our audience a little bit about some of the community work that you do?
Of course. So Univision, the station that I work at right now, they do a lot of community service. We have a department that is in charge of working with different organizations. And I think I work a lot with the organizations that they have they're already working with them. And I find a way to involve depending on the knowledge that I have and what I can do. Actually, tomorrow I have an event with it's called, I don't remember exactly the name of the event. I don't want to also share it here. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to, but
Yes.
it's for I think it's like a school that they're doing a networking event for girls and teaching them how to develop the skills that they need to be successful. And I love anything that is just, learning new skills and what you need to know, how you can find your passion and things like that. So I found something that I can be useful for them. So it just depends. It's not any organization. I feel like you need to find something that works for you and you can actually truly be able to help them.
Amen. Amen. I think that's why Karen and I started this podcast, because we know that what we have to offer, it's going to help benefit other people. And that's why we do what we're doing. We're very intentional about giving information and empowering folks. So you hit the nail right on the head, doing things that that gives you purpose and passion. Then you really know that you're in the right space. So it's not necessarily an organization more than the purpose of what they're doing. And I love that you're about to pour into some young ladies. We've been at Career Day all day today.
Oh, yes.
I love that. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's always interesting. Trying to keep the students engaged and making sure that they're getting some useful information. And that middle school age is real tricky. It's really tricky. Michelle, what was your educational background that how you became a journalist?
Yeah, so it's very interesting because when I came to the US, I was 17 years old. Okay. So I had to go to high school for 6 months here because I had a green card. So you have to, in order for you to go to university, you have to stay here a year. So they were like, well, you don't waste your time, until you're ready to go to university. Why don't you experience high school here? I was already graduated in Ecuador, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna try. And then I was hoping to have, the High School Musical experience as my generation, to see in the movies. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna meet Zac Efron and things like that. It was nothing like that. So I had to face the reality of higher education in the US. And, it has good things, but also has bad things. I feel like in my country, you don't see the amount of bullying that probably kids have here. I got to see that. And also the high school that I went to, in my country, you have to wear uniforms. Here, you have to wear whatever, any clothing that you have available. And I remember I was excited because in my country, you don't get to do that. So I was like, I'm going to wear different outfits. But then I realized that some of the kids, they wouldn't like that because they didn't have maybe the clothes that they would like to wear. So then I had to face the reality. I had to understand how it works for other people. If you're not from here, you understand the reality that they have to face. And also had experience on the good side that you have different classes that you can take. You can take art, you can take music, dance, whatever you want. So when I was there, I had to experience different things. So I took a class that was on TV and I was like, oh, this is amazing. They had a little newscast and I got really passionate about that. Even though it was for 6 months, I got to do a little thing. So I really liked that. Then after that, after I was done with that, I was able to go to university. I went to college. It was, I think it's UCF. No, it's SCF. It's a community college in Bradenton, Florida. And I took communication classes, and it was really nice. I stayed there for 2 years. I took all the basics, the basics classes in order for you to transfer to a college. So that was really nice. So I stayed there 2 years. I also took a lot of PR and marketing and all of that. And after 2 years going there, I went to USF, University of South Florida, and I got my bachelor of journalism. And I got to do a bunch of internships. I got to meet a lot of people. And before I graduated, I had my first job working for Telemundo Orlando, doing entertainment. And it was really exciting because I was networking a lot. So that's what I always like to say. The only way that you can find your first job if you're still in school is just networking, doing internships.
Networking.
That's right.
So you've been with that Telemundo, Univision kind of universe since you graduated school?
I'm sorry?
So have you been with the Telemundo, is it Universal?
Univision.
Univision. The Univision kind of family since you graduated school?
Pretty much when I was in college, yes. Yeah. So my last year of university,
Mhm.
I internship with them, and then I was able to meet different people. It was actually very interesting because my first internship, I met somebody that worked at a radio station,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and we kept the friendship for maybe for like a year, and then he had an opening for a job, and he said, "Why don't you come and work here for a little bit?" And it was almost free. They didn't pay me as much. But,
Mhm.
You said
uh,
almost free.
yeah, in the industry, and then since then, I haven't stopped. So I guess I did
Oh,
the right.
wow. That is a blessing.
Did you
So
have? Go ahead, Kat.
go ahead, sis.
No,
Go
I was
ahead.
going to ask. Have you seen any obstacles being a Latina woman in your industry? That have you experienced any obstacles because of
Absolutely.
racism?
I feel like for an immigrant it's really hard, especially when you're a woman. We know, all of us, we know
Mhm.
that being a minority is not easy. It's
Hmm.
very hard sometimes. And I think sometimes we especially females, we instead of helping each other, sometimes we just crush each other, like without wanting it, because
Yes,
it's so hard to find
Yeah.
opportunities. So
yes.
some even unconscious we do things to each other.
Mhm.
It was really hard at the beginning, but I feel like you have to learn to understand who is there helping you and why they want to help you. When you're very young, you need to also see through people's stuff. You need to understand
Yes.
the intentions of what they want to do or what they want to help you to.
Okay,
Yes. Yes.
that makes
I
sense.
was um I was a moderator last night for Councilman Austin Thompson Jr. He had on a phenomenal woman's symposium wrapping up Women's Month. And he had different panelists. The first Latin American who was elected to Georgia State House, the president of the Women's Chamber, and there was a ton of women entrepreneurs in the room, and it was very, very powerful. And one of the things that everybody agreed upon was that sisterhood, that support system, just like what you said, Michelle. We need to work together as much as we can across all industries, across all classes, and so forth, because we face so much just being a woman. Why cause that pain amongst ourselves?
Mm.
Saying so in that room it was multicultural, it was beautiful, and it was so many powerful women in that room, and I was just so excited. I mean, it was a tearjerker, like you needed some tissue in the room with everybody just sharing their stories and whatnot. It was very powerful. And so what I asked the moderators, which I would like to ask you, what advice do you have to the next generation so that they can have an easier journey just a little bit and may not have to go through the same bumps and bruises that we've gone through? What advice do you have to our next generation?
I love that question, and honestly, I would say ask yourself why you're doing the things that you do.
Mhm.
Be honest about what you want to accomplish and do something that makes you happy, because sometimes we see other people being successful and we're young and we want to do what they do and we want to follow their path because it seems shiny and beautiful.
Mm.
But you have to see what really makes you happy, what you're good at. You need to
Mhm.
understand yourself and not only see something that is successful because you see it on TV or because you see it in the movies. You need to ask yourself these questions. What would make me happy? This is the life that I want to live, and see
Mhm.
the good and the bad, not only the good, because everything has a price too. I think we only talk about success, but we don't talk about what it takes to be successful. And
The
Yes.
climb. What's the
Yes.
climb? What's the
yeah,
work that you have to put in?
yes, exactly. Yeah.
That part. So, Michelle, you've interviewed some very famous people, some everyday people. Who is your get that you want to get to that you haven't interviewed yet?
Besides us, besides us.
Of course, of course. Well, actually, that's a great question. I think there's a journalist that I love everything that she does. Her name is Lisa Lane. She works for CNN. She had a show
Oh
called This Is Live
yeah,
with Lisa Lane, and I love the way she does her interviews. I
Mm.
love her shows and everything that she does. So I would love to talk to her because she's the type of you don't see journalists like her very much. You know, she's
Yeah.
just very true to who she is, and her stories are very. It's just not something ordinary. It's just very, very different type of people that she talks to every single day. I would just love to understand why she decided to take that path instead of doing something that, you know, different, just like a different
Yeah.
type of journalism. Yeah.
I love Lisa Ling. She's really
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
She's very informative. Like she really gets embedded in her stories.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Shows a
Yeah.
different side of reality. You know, the questions that nobody want to
Yes.
ask.
She
Yes.
asks tough questions, and she's solid in asking those questions. She doesn't shy away from them.
Yeah.
So, okay, Lisa, you know, we shouting out to you. We need you to come on and reach out.
Right? Yes, she's coming next.
I would love it. I would love it. So, being a woman that you do all things great, you're in the community, you have your job, you're an Emmy Award winner, you interview so many people. What do you do for you? How do you take care of your mental wellness? We are very big on mental health and shattering the stigma surrounded by mental health that is really destroying our community because no one wants to talk about it.
Yes.
And go ahead.
Yes, well, it's something that I just mentioned, you know, what I would do, what I would tell girls that want to get into the, you know, if they want to be successful. And it also comes with that question. So I ask myself every single day, am I happy? How do I feel today? You know, in a way just to check on me sometimes, you know, is this working out for me? What I'm doing makes me happy. How did I feel about, you know, covering this event? How it affected me? So I think that's the way that I check my mental health too. And I do a lot of meditation. I try to be very self-aware of what I'm doing and why am I doing things and who I'm talking to and how the relationship that I have affect my daily life. So I guess just checking on myself and ask myself questions that I probably wouldn't have asked myself before.
Yes, I love that too because I know me and Karen were very intentional with that space. Who's in your space? Because you have people who are vampires. They will suck the positive energy out of you.
All of it.
Yeah. And I think in the space where we're like reporting on news or advocating for someone or doing things in the community, we already hear the heavy. When you really listen to people going through things, that's heavy on us too. So we all have to find a way to kind of manage that so that we don't become depressed or full of anxiety when you're out here trying to help people. Because I know we listen to a lot of stories. I deal with people that's homeless and experiencing food insecurities, and you want to help as many people as you can, and you know you can't, but it hurts to hear all of that.
Yes.
You know, we have to be able to manage being around positive people that can pour back into us and we can pour into them, because whenever you help somebody else, you're really helping yourself.
Yes, I love that. And I'm gonna ask you the same questions. How do you deal with that? How do you know how you don't bring home so much sometimes sadness and stress? I want to learn from.
Yes, you want to take it first, Karen, or you leaving it with me?
So my daily practice is I have to start my morning off in prayer. So I have a morning devotional that I read. First I pray. I do my morning devotional, and then I'm doing this where I'm trying to read the Bible all the way through because I've never done that at my big age. So I have very intentional quiet time. I get up before my house gets up, and I have to have my quiet time where I'm still. I have my tea, I burn my candles, and that's my quiet time where I have to, and whatever I'm stressed about, and then I started journaling too. So I'm doing all of that in my morning time because it centers me and it helps me start my day. And then there are days when things are heavy because I work in the DA's office, and there are days when things are heavy, cases are heavy, and I have to come home and decompress from all of that because there are some things that will absolutely break your heart.
Yes.
But I talk it out as much as I can. And then, you know, if it's still weighing heavy on me in the morning, that's when I have to try to release it. And it's a daily practice. It's a daily practice. And then I try to get on my treadmill to work it out.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I love that you're reading the Bible, sis. I'm on my third time reading it from front to back, and I am almost finished.
Mm.
And so I do have my daily devotional. And so, you know, full disclosure, everybody knows that I'm managing my mental health. I have PTSD. And so that's another reason why I'm huge on mental health. And so through my therapy, I have learned the importance of boundaries, which is very, very important. And then creating a routine where when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I can go and write. And a lot of times people think you wear these bracelets because they're cute, but like one of my bracelets has a texture on them. So whenever I get a lot of anxiety, I can rub this texture. I know like some people they do this tapping, right? And so you can do that same thing with bracelets and just like pop your wrist or find something textured like a rock or so. So instead of me trying to keep up with the rock that I couldn't keep up with, I'm like, where's my rock? You know, I just put it around my wrist. And so these are different tactics that I use that when I have anxiety or whatnot to help
Mm.
manage that. And then when you're out here and I listen to, like when I left last night, I took some of the food that was left over to try to find some of the people that's in my community on my way home that I know that's posted up at certain gas stations to give them some of this food that was going to go in the garbage, right? And so it's heavy on me when I know that I'm seeing a teenager that's homeless but don't want to go anywhere to get the help that they need. We got to remember some people don't want to get the help. So for me, I talk to my therapist, I talk to my loved ones, I share things with Karen, and then I pray, I journal. I have a grateful journal every day. I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, and then 3 things that I intend to do. And actually, Michelle, when you said about you ask yourself, am I happy? I have it in my phone. It says, I'm what am I happy for? Let me tell you so I can tell you exactly what am I happy for. These are 3 questions. What am I happy for? What am I happy about in my life right now? What about that makes me happy?
Mm.
And how does that make me feel?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm.
Ask yourself that, you know. I also have the reminder, which we have some sister girls, some young ladies from South Gwinnett High School. Was it South Gwinnett or Shiloh?
It
It
was
was some
South
young
Gwinnett.
ladies.
Mhm.
They're from high school. They created Mind Over Matter, an organization about mental wellness. And they gave me tips on having inspirational reminders. There are apps that you could put on your phone that will help you stay positive and motivated. So my advice, create boundaries, say what time of day. And when I say boundaries, Les, he's a motivational speaker. What's his last name?
That's Brown.
Les Brown. He says he only accepts negative information at a certain time of the day.
Mm.
So when I heard his lecture, I started incorporating that in my boundaries. So from this, like a certain amount of time of the day is for my positive, filling up my battery, filling
Yeah.
up my love cup. So when I go out into the world, my cup is overflowing. But when I come home, it might be empty or half. And then now I just start my evening routine so that I can then, so now I have a boundary. Don't call me past this time with any of that.
Yes.
You
Yes.
understand? And so, and that's how we have to do it. And then you have that sisterhood, people who understand, they know what you're going through. And even if they don't, when we start talking to one another, we liberate one another because you help someone else say, you know what, sis, that was going through my mind too. I was going through that too. You know, so having that sisterhood, and thank you for asking that question because it's so important for all of us to learn how to deal with certain things
What
and,
works for other people.
and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
And you
What
need
works.
to find something that works for you because maybe,
Absolutely.
it also depends how can you keep up with that. Because I love what you guys said. You find something that works for you that you can keep up every single
Yes.
day. And
Yeah.
it's something that makes you happy and fits in your schedule. And we have time. Sometimes we say, I don't have time to journal. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to read the Bible. We do have time. Sometimes we decide to do something else.
Absolutely.
Maybe it won't be as beneficial. So it's just priority. We need to
Instead of
find
instead of spending those 30 minutes on TikTok in the morning or IG.
absolutely.
Right. Yeah, because and there are people who literally turn on their phone to social media, and then they get
Yeah.
all that negativity, and then they
Yeah.
wonder why they're mad in traffic.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
This
Absolutely.
has been the cause of so much anxiety and stress in people's lives because they're so connected to their phones. And I believe that's why we're seeing a rise in mental health issues with our
Mhm.
students and our children because it used to be, right, if you had a classroom bully or a school bully, you only had to deal with that school bully between 8 o'clock in the morning and 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now that bully can reach you in evenings, on the weekends, on school breaks, because they can terrorize another child via the via
The phone.
social media. So they have
Absolutely. And it's permanent. We need to remember that social media, anything that you put in there is going to be permanent.
Yeah.
Pictures, messages, text messages, somebody takes a screenshot of that, it's going to live forever. So
Yeah.
we need to talk. I think it's very important just to talk about that too, just what you put out there. It can affect you for the rest of your life. So if you have
yes,
an intent to affect someone, if you're a buller, if you're bullying someone, if you're young, you need to have those conversations with your parents. Your parents need to talk to you about that, what it
mm-hmm.
means and what it can do to somebody in the
Yeah.
long term. So yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
we've seen cases of students who have cyber bullied other students, who have said things to them on social media, and then we've seen an instance where one girl had gotten a scholarship and got accepted to, I forgot what school it was, one of the Ivies, I believe. But it once her social media post became known, the school rescinded their scholarship offer.
Oh,
Yeah,
yay.
yes, yes. Like this is happening. So schools now are checking
Yeah.
students' social media to see like what they've posted and things that they've said.
Yeah.
So the students have to be very, and parents have to be very mindful about what their students are putting out there on
Yeah.
social media.
And
Absolutely.
you know what? And I think it adds to a person's character. If you because let's think about it. If you have you present professional and respectable to me face to face, but on social media, you're Godzilla. Do I really want you to be at my job or my school, or you know what I'm saying? Because so I can see an entity, and as us being, entrepreneurs and women in the workforce, I can see me looking at someone's social media saying, no, I don't think that you'll be a good fit because you will bring down morale. It's just a lot of
Yes,
negative things like that. So I think that's very important that our young people listen. Young people, we telling
yes,
y'all some. Do not post stuff on the internet, and grown folks too. Let's
yeah,
face it.
because there's some adults who are doing crazy things. But and that aside, Michelle, I have to ask, if a young woman were interested in getting in the field today in journalism, with so many people thinking they're reporters because they're using their phones, or they've got web pages and social media that they're posting to. Do you think it's worth it in this day and age to still go to school for journalism?
That's a great question. Yesterday we had a couple of students here. They were just following us. How we do the newscast, how the
Hmm.
stock department works, how marketing works. And I asked them, who wants to be a journalist? It was like 30 students, about 16 to, yeah, I would say 14 to 16-year olds.
Okay.
And only two of them said I want to be a journalist. The rest of
Wow.
them didn't care about it. And most of them wanted to work in something, tech, AI, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they said pretty much, I don't think TV is going to survive. I don't see a future there.
Oh
And they were very
wow.
honest. And I think there's, a lot of people have the same questions. I
Hmm.
wondered that myself. But TV journalism is never gonna end. It's gonna change, and it's changing. We need to see the change the way that we deliver the news, not only the platform as saying on social media, on phones, just the way that we
Hmm.
say it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with some of the people that think that maybe the way that journalists used to talk on TV is a little bit more serious. Right now, they want the information in a different way. But journalism is always going to survive because we're going to check the sources before it goes on air,
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
somebody just saying this is what happened and this is happening right now and we have this information, but who is giving you the information? It's not something verified. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's because it hasn't been verified before it goes on air. So I think journalism is never going to die. It's going to change, and it's changing. And it's a beautiful career. I feel like if you're really invested in journalism, or you want to study journalism, you need to ask yourself those questions that I said before. Why you want to do it? If you want to be on camera, maybe it's not the best way, because journalism is not only, being on camera. You have to write a lot. You have to do a lot of investigation. So that's why doing internships is very important as well. Do an internship. If you're in high school, you can still do internships in high school. You don't really have to be in college. You can just start, asking questions, email on reporters. You want to be on camera, email the news director, tell them that you just want to go one day and see how it is, because maybe it's not for you, maybe something else is for you. And not only on TV, just in any career that you want to study, like anything you want to do, you just ask questions when you're young. And when you're young, you have the chance to make mistakes. You have the chance to change your life completely. If one day you want to do something else, it's easier when you're younger. You have the opportunity to shift directions.
Have
Amen.
you ever heard of Vox Communications in Atlanta? It's a teen newspaper, and the students work in cohorts of different semesters. My son had an opportunity to be a part of it this school year. But they learn about reporting. They learn because his thing is he does photojournalism, so he was a photojournalism fellow this year. But I was just thinking about, like, they're learning like the importance of like writing the story, of researching. They're doing editing, and I was just thinking, like, it would be great if, I don't know if they ever have reporters coming in, but that would be a great connection for those students. I'm gonna have to mention that to my son now that I know somebody.
Yeah, and usually I feel like journalists, when I was in a school and we had a bunch of journalists going to talk to us, they were very honest, and I'm very honest too. When I see a student and they want to do journalism, I ask them why you want to do it, because let's be clear, if you want to do it because you want to be in a camera, maybe you just want the attention, because you can see there, you have to be very honest. It's a very hard career to get into it. It's not well paid most of the time. It's hard at the beginning to get into the industry, and then you have to move up to different stations. So before you get into the industry, you have to ask yourself the hard questions. Are you willing to do this and
to do
move
the work
every couple years? Don't have a steady home for a while. That's usually the path that journalists takes.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Why you
Do you have an ideal market? Like, do you want to get to New York? Do you want to get to LA? Do you have an ideal market?
I feel like it keeps changing. It keeps changing. At the beginning, I wanted it to be in Miami because that's like top market for Hispanic people. Then the older you are, you're like, why do I really want to go to Miami? It's because, when I was younger, when I was, in like mid-20s, I'm like, I want to be where, the party is in Miami. Now I'm older, it's like, I like to drink tea. I want to be like in a peaceful area. I don't want to, be in the noise and everything. So it just depends. Professional, I feel like New York would be a great place to be. But who knows, maybe in a couple of years, I want to say, I like Atlanta. I want to stay in Atlanta. I don't want to deal with the very cold weather. So I guess it keeps changing. And just like goals, the older you are and the different experience you have, your goals keep changing.
This is the truth.
Yeah.
I know that.
Go ahead, Kat, because I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Girl, no, now I forgot my question. Y'all know if I don't answer right then, look. Yeah, I'm good. I just know that, like what you said with the jobs, I think what I would like to make sure young people know, anything worth having, you have to work hard for.
Absolutely.
So we have to stop thinking that you're going to get into an industry and just soar to the top. And it's not like that. And even if you're going into coding and IT and everything, you're still going to have to do the work to get to a level where you think you should be. No one is just going to hand it to you. Every one of us and our colleagues and friends, we have all worked for years to get in a space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So please do not believe and think that Just
It happens overnight, yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
That it does
So
not happen overnight.
to piggyback on that, how long into your career was it that you won your first Emmy, and what was it for?
I think my first Emmy was 3 years ago. I was here in Atlanta
Okay.
actually, and it was for it was actually a very sad story. It was a school shooting, and it was
Mm,
about what to do in case of a school shooting.
okay.
We worked with the Sandy Police Department and to Sandy Springs Police Department to
Hmm.
do the story, and it was very. It was. Sometimes I watch the package just because I'm very proud of that we won the Emmy, but at the same time, it's really hard that we have to cover those stories.
Right.
And it just those very sensible subjects. Sometimes it takes a toll on you. You're proud that you won that, but at the same time, we wish you wouldn't have to report on that.
That it had been for something else. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that is powerful. Oh man, it just to hear what you have to write about, but I do
Mhm.
appreciate the fact that you do everything that you can to get to the truth so that we, the citizens, can know the facts. And that's what's very important to me. You want to be a trusted source, and that's what we're trying to do with our version of the podcast. We want to bring on people who are trusted sources of information that people then can go and make their lives better.
Yes.
That's it. Because it's like you said earlier, it's so many avenues of misinformation and negativity. This is
Yeah.
a love seat. This is an organic space where people are not confined and constricted. Talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about that is going to inform, inspire, and empower. Period. And so
Uh,
that's why I love that. I respect what you guys do at Univision, and I'm glad you were able to come on the show. I
Yes, me
probably
too.
got a
Thank you
story to
so
run
much.
to now.
No, thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I've learned so much from you two today. I feel like I need to start reading the Bible. That's something that I've been wanting to do, especially this weekend is very special for Catholic people.
Yes.
So I haven't practiced that much, but I need to get into religion more, and I think that's something that I need to work on this year. So yeah, no, I'm gonna start reading the Bible. Next time I'm on the show, we're gonna talk about it.
All right.
All
Okay.
right. Yes, we
We
love
can do it. We can do it. We can do it
That's
because
right.
the one of the things that bonds me to Catherine, she is my sister, is that she has a faith walk, and she's a very spiritual person. And spirituality and religion are not the same.
Yeah.
But I love that about her, and we're always talking about the strength that we draw from our faith. And I share when things are bothering me, and she pours into me, and vice versa when things are bothering the other. So we have that in common, and I love that about her. You better not be crying.
I am.
Oh,
She
that's
cried with that.
beautiful. I think I can see your friendship, how pure it is, and what you guys are doing is beautiful. It's beautiful, and have the space for women just to talk about how we feel, and just having an honest conversation, and having questions that just flow. We're
Yeah.
just having a chat, and I love that. It's very organic, and I can feel your energy. And I'm a very spiritual person, so I can sense the good energy. So
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And
She called me a waterhead. Look,
Oh no.
I tease her, but I love her to death. She
I
really has
love her,
become
girl.
like family to me.
God is so
Um,
good in
we
connecting us in the way that
Yes,
God does.
yeah.
So thank you.
She
Thank
has become
you.
my family. I've only known her for it's going on 3 years now. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like I've always known her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so much so that we had a small intimate wedding for my oldest son the other week,
Oh,
and she was here at my house when
Yeah.
my oldest
it's
son got married.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, girl. I was like, really? You want me to come? She was like, girl, if you don't come over here, you family. And I was like, oh my God. And
Oh,
it just, girl, and she laid it out. When I tell you, it was beautiful. So I tried to throw, and I'm gonna hurry up because I know you gotta go. But I tried to throw my son a graduation party and deck out the garage so we can have all these colors, girl. She put me to shame. She had a chandelier.
oh,
She turned her garage
Into a
into
reception hall.
a
that's
reception,
beautiful.
and
I
it
need to see
was
the
beautiful.
pictures. That's
I'll send
amazing.
them to
China,
you via email.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not a good planner. I'm actually really bad when it comes to like decorating and anything. I'm really bad at doing that. So good for you. I feel like some people just have talent, to do stuff like that. I'm not good at it. I'm just
Yeah.
Well, it was a labor of love. That's what I say.
Yeah.
that's
I
good.
don't know if I could do it for other people, but when I'm passionate about something, then I can, I'll go. My ADD brain will just go in
Girl.
overdrive,
She
hyper
did.
focus.
She did. Huge success. So we'll have to share with you some pictures.
Yeah.
Do
I'll
you
send
have
you
any
send
last
me some pictures.
words for our guest? Party words, Michelle?
Well, I just want to thank you for having me here on the show, and just I feel like we talked about different things, and last thing I just want to say, just we should have more conversations like this, just talk
Yeah.
about success and how what you had to do in order to get there, and just be vulnerable about the issues that you have,
Yes.
and I think everything starts with a conversation, just with a conversation that we had here, and no, I'm very grateful to be here with you guys today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And we
Thank you
love
so much.
having you, girl. Look,
Yes,
can't wait to have you
absolutely.
back.
Thank you. And it was, and I know we know you've got to get back to work because you are still in the middle. You're still in the middle of your work day, your
That's
Yeah.
work
right.
evening.
That's right.
Right. But
Tell,
as always, go ahead.
tell everybody what time you come on so they can watch you on Univision. Drop some of that if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So Univision, we go on there at 5 p.m. Then we go on there at 6 p.m. and then at 11 p.m. So we have
Okay.
different three newscasts. All of them are live. So hopefully, you can join us. You can learn something new. You want to know about the community,
Yes.
then watch Univision, and get in touch with me too. I'm very active on social media, even though I do have my boundaries, something we were talking about. I try not to use social media as often, but I do check my DMs, I check my messages, and I try to
Mhm.
stay connected with the community. So definitely
Right.
follow me there. But yes,
Absolutely.
All
And we'll
right.
have to bring you out to some of our events when we have our food
worries.
drives and all that great stuff. So
Yes.
I'll
Thank
be there.
you so
Thank
much for joining us. And as always, we thank you for being with us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.